Josh Hennig live at yesterday's Creekside Tavern in Marmora, hanging out with you on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. And we are streaming live on YouTube and X, the Dr. Squatch virtual studio. Joining us right now. Now, if you've been listening to ESPN radio for years, if you've been paying attention to WWE, you know the man who is coming on the show right now. It is Jonathan Coachman. He's been around sports and sports entertainment for many, many years. And of course, he is a part of PFL MMA. Their return to Atlantic City next Friday inside Boardwalk Hall is where they're going to be. And Jonathan Coachman joins us right now on the phone line on 97.3 ESPN. Jonathan, I appreciate you making time to join us today. How are you doing today?
I cannot believe I get to hang with Josh, and I cannot believe that I get to hang in Atlantic City in less than a week. We are fired up, Ben, and I haven't been in Atlantic City for a minute, so I'm ready to get back, and it's a pleasure to be on with you today, sir.
Jonathan, before we get to anything, I would be remiss because obviously the passing of Hulk Hogan this week, it's just an absolute icon. You were someone who, worked around the WWE for many, many years. I wanted to get kind of just your, quick thoughts on him, because obviously the man, he's more than just the Hulkster, right? He was an icon, and he was a guy that in many ways, he was like the forerunner for a lot of the sports entertainment we have today, right?
Yeah, there's no question. I had I'm really good at separating the man from the character, and the character and Hulk Hogan. Without him and what he did in the 80s and the early 90s, I truly believe that I wouldn't have had my career there. I don't believe that a lot of the big stars would have had the career that they enjoyed. I kind of equate him to Tiger Woods in golf, that he was a guy that raised the stakes. He was a guy that allowed guys to make more money. When he went to WCW, he raised the level of another company, because competition is always good. And there's a lot of people that are in that 40 to 60 age range that look back and say, man, that was my childhood. And Josh, I get that more than anything when somebody recognizes me from the WWE. They're like, man, I hated you when I was 10, but I kind of like you now. So it's a nice thing to hear. And certainly Hulk deserves his flowers, unexpectedly at 71 years of age. I got to be around him a lot, and I can only judge people by how they treat me, and he always treated me pretty well. So certainly the wrestling world is mourning his passing this week. Absolutely.
Well, a place that was Hulk Hogan knew was Atlantic City as well. WrestleManias were in Atlantic City years ago, and now with the PFL. Jonathan, I want to know for you, because obviously, I was there in 2021 in the bubble when only a select handful of us were allowed in the building because of all the COVID protocols years ago. Now with PFL coming back, full-blown fans in the building, historic Boardwalk Hall, what does it say to you about the growth of the PFL and the growth of MMA that they are coming back to Atlantic City, not just for a normal fight, but for the championship finals with belts and paychecks on the line?
Yeah, I tell you what, I've told people this a couple of different times, that despite all of the great gigs I've been lucky to have, this is the one that I'm having the most fun at. It's the most fulfilling, and hopefully I'm a major part of the PFL for the rest of my career, which hopefully is 25 or 30 years, because this is an opportunity, and rare is the time, and you know this being at ESPN Radio, that you get an opportunity to be a part of an organization that is major league, but still has so far to go. And we brought in a lot of new people this year. A lot of them came from the WWE because they were making a lot of changes with TKO, their parent company. So we got very, very lucky. A lot of the new people we have coming in, they understand storylines, and they understand pushing the fighters. And we've met with all of our top fighters, and we're like, listen, if you're successful, if you put on great, exciting fights, we're going to push you to the moon. And we're trying to create a global company, not just the United States. And being in Atlantic City, when there's been so many historic fights in boxing and combat sports over the years, we could not be more excited. And fans in Atlantic City are going to get to see who I consider the future of the PFL in Thad Gene. He looks great, has a great smile. He had a really close semifinal win over Jason Jackson, who's a Bellator legend. So I think fans are going to be really, really surprised at the PFL product now as compared to what it was 4 or 5 years ago. We've improved a whole lot, and we know we have a long way to go as well.
And by the way, people will be hearing from Thad Gene coming up a little bit later in the show. I recorded an interview with him a couple days ago ahead of next Friday's fight, so people will get to hear for themselves. That I don't want to give it away, Jonathan, but you've talked to him multiple times. The genuine nature of this young man is unparalleled, right?
See, so when you're building a company, and this is one thing when I talked to the CEO, Don Davis, to have this new role that I'm in now, I said, with my background in the WWE, you have to lock into guys that have the it factor. And it's not just about winning fights. You can still lose fights and win. You can also win and lose if you're not exciting. Josh, in today's day and age, in MMA, wrestling, boxing, whatever, you've got to be exciting. Thad Gene, when you talk to him, he's legitimately who you think you are talking to. He was raised right. He's a God-fearing young kid, but he also understands what he brings to the table. He also, when you talk to him, understands that to be successful, to be a megastar, and to make millions and millions of dollars, you've got to continue to do it, but do it in exciting fashion. And this kid is the real deal. He's so nice. And that's, to me, when I meet a fighter that's super, super nice, it scares me just a little bit. And this kid, if you look at him, his nickname is the Silverback, because he's got this big upper body. He's not built like your normal big-time MMA fighter. So I think fans are really going to enjoy watching him and listening to your interview with him as well.
Jonathan, aside from Thad Gene's fight in the welterweight final, what other fights are you looking forward to when PFL MMA invades Boardwalk Hall next Friday night?
Well, obviously, the co-main event, which is our featherweight final, is going to be an absolute banger. Jesus Pinedo is a former champion with us. He, because of injury, had to take a year off. He's come back this year and looked amazing. 2 knockouts in really dramatic fashion. And then Movlid Habalayev, who has been roundly considered the best at that weight for many, many years. Now they collide in our finals. But there's 2 names also. Jordan Newman, he's in the first fight on the ESPN card at 9 o'clock Eastern on Friday. And then the last fight of the early card, Jakub Kazubai, I always mess his name up. Those are 2 names that are undefeated fighters. Kazubai won PFL Europe a couple of times, and Newman's also an undefeated fighter that I think is going to kick off the card. And the other part of this, too, when I say these fighters, I want people to understand there's a lot of pressure here because they're going to be fighting on ESPN on Friday night, and the fact that we have this deal, we have this contract, and we have ESPN that's really leaning into MMA, and they're giving us a legit shot. It's not just about the UFC anymore. So these fighters understand that they might not be coming in as a part of the world tournament, but the platform that they have Friday night could literally change the trajectory of their career in MMA. And that's what we tell them when we meet with them. We're like, listen, this is your time. We've got the machine behind you, but you got to go out and do the work. And to me, I like to see what fighters can handle the pressure when the lights are the brightest.
Jonathan Coachman joining us here on 97.3 ESPN, hanging with Hennig, broadcasting live from yesterday's Creekside Tavern on Roosevelt Boulevard in Marmora. Jonathan, I really wanted to ask you because you are someone who's been around, the sports entertainment, sports media for years. I mean, you lived multiple lifetimes, dude. I mean, from the WWE to Sportscenter anchor, ESPN. I used to listen to Coaching Company on ESPN radio, okay? I might have been one of the few, but I listened to you. I enjoyed that show. And so for you, looking over all those years, give the context for the audience about what makes the PFL special compared to all of the different entities that you have been around and been exposed to over the decades.
That's a great question because in 2025, and this is something that I dealt with personally when I was trying to leave WWE and go to ESPN, there's so many people that live in this closed-minded box. They like to put people or organizations or sports in a box and not understand that you can truly like this, like A, and then you can also like B. And one of the things I've always tried to do in my career is make people that like what I'm doing, whether it's wrestling, combat sports, say, you know what, there's something over here that you might like as well. And I think the beauty of what PFL and MMA can bring to the table, we want to start bringing in wrestling-style storylines into what we're doing with the PFL. It doesn't mean we're promoting fake fights, far from it. But when you've got multiple fighters coming from one gym, like American Top Team, Kill Clip, you can create these factions, kind of like what Hulk Hogan was a part of with the NWO. You can do that in MMA, and now all of a sudden you can then promote 3-4 fighters on one card from one gym. And all of a sudden, okay, I know that guy. Doesn't he fight with that guy? Didn't I see them in a package? And all of a sudden you start to bring it together, because I think that's one thing that's really missing in MMA. So that's what I love, the creativity they allow me to make, as compared to all the other gigs that I've had. They put me in a box. They're like, you're an anchor. That's all you're ever going to be. Well, I'm a lot better than that. I'm bigger than that. I can be creative. I can help you with matchups. I can help you with promotion. I can help you with branding. And that's the thing that the PFL, not just with myself, but around the board, so many creative minds. And give us some time, and we're going to get there.
Jonathan, it's Michael. Quick question for you. I think you hit it right on the button when you were talking about what's the chances of anybody being on ESPN fighting on a Friday night, okay, in Boardwalk Hall, Atlantic City, where you can kickstart your career pretty much in one good fight right here. But what's nice about it is Boardwalk Hall, there's a couple places you could have came. We've got a lot of casinos, as you know, but I think when you go to Boardwalk Hall, you take it to a whole nother level. And I think your fighters are going to come in and they're going to be excited. And I think the people that come down to the Boardwalk Hall, they're going to see a night that they won't forget.
Yeah, and it's funny because years ago when I was trying to go from WWE to ESPN, I was taking any sports gig I could get. I called the Atlantic 10 tournament at Boardwalk Hall, and I remember, even though it's spacious, it has great sound in there. And I think that a lot of the fans, because all these fighters, they've come to finish. We had 21 finishes in our first 32 tournament fights this year. That's unheard of, a 70% finish rate. And so these fighters understand the days of just, hey, you have 6 fights, so you're going to get 6 fights like you have in the UFC or formerly. Those days are over. You're either going to come and you're going to perform at Boardwalk Hall, which is historic, and understand that if you got the video of you knocking somebody out at Boardwalk Hall in the historic Atlantic City, that's going to play. And it's going to play a lot, but they have to do it. We're not apologizing anymore for if you have 3 decision victories in a row, that doesn't mean you're going to get a 4th. I don't want decision victories. I want knockouts. I want submissions. I want 10 seconds to go like we had last week in South Africa, getting the job done. And that's what we're going to do. And hopefully these fighters understand it. But to your point, not all of them can handle the pressure when all of a sudden there's the cameras, there's the coach, there's everybody from ESPN. It's not always the greatest. They don't always figure it out. And we'll see what happens on Friday night.
He's Jonathan Coachman, a part of PFL MMA's return to Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City next Friday night. Of course, not one but 2 championship finals, belts on the line, paychecks on the line, everything on the line. And, of course, coming up the next hour, you'll hear from one of the finalists, Thad Gene. Jonathan, appreciate you making the time and jumping on with Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN.
Always here, guys. Great to talk to you. We'll see you. Hopefully we'll see you at the fights next week.